The Giggle, one of the most prominent entities that inhabit the minds of Roblox doors. These creatures are unique in the sense that they are one of the only entities to have been developed enough to have an extensive lore, and that is precisely what I will discuss today. You see, much like most animals of our world, Giggles have a life cycle, and this life cycle is especially unique as fragments of it are completely lost. In this video, we'll be following the growth of these creatures, and I'll be explaining how Giggles develop as they age. So with all of that being said, let's begin. Currently, there are 3 confirmed stages of growth for Giggles, starting with, well, Giggles themselves. These are the youngest form of the entity, equivalent to toddlers or little kids. Giggles, as many of you know, inhabit the vast majority of the mines, rarely residing in the location they were born, that being the nest. From an early age, they are skilled at being ambush predators, clinging to ceilings and waiting for unsuspecting prey to walk under them so they can fall onto and attack them. Now, despite already being skilled hunters, being a Giggle is the weakest point of this entity's strength, as when they age, they become stronger. Now, there are notable patterns in appearance which occur through the entirety of a Giggle's life, and I'll be explaining those before we move on to their next stage of life. Essentially, as a Giggle grows, they will gain a higher quantity of certain body parts. This includes eyes, teeth, and tentacles. They, much like most animals, will also grow in size, into huge amounts as well. So, when we are going through the next stages of life, keep an eye out for the heightened physical traits. So, with that being said, the next stage of development for these creatures is lost. Yeah, strange, right? Essentially, we know based on several pieces of evidence that Screeches are members of the Giggle family that were infected by Seek, becoming almost like zombies. However, based on how Screeches have more tentacles and teeth than Giggles as well as a bigger overall body size, it can be assumed that they are in fact older than Giggles. Their lack of extra eyes could be explained by the slime simply covering them. So this means that after being a Giggle, they will mature into an uninfected Screech, a stage of development which doesn't have any current footage available. This is why I said this part of the life cycle is essentially lost, as we have no idea what an uninfected Screech looks like. Still, this entity has plenty of growth ahead of it, so I think it's time we move on to the next stage of their life cycle. After being an uninfected Screech, Giggles will continue to grow in size and number of eyes and teeth, as they've already achieved the maximum number of tentacles. This growth will continue without any discernible individual stages until they become a full adult, what is known as a Grumble. Grumbles are fully matured Giggles, and they are absolutely massive and possess incredible strength. Unlike the previous 2 stages of growth which reside all throughout the mines, Grumbles mostly inhabit the nest, a special location where they are all originated from. However, based on how large tunnels can rarely appear throughout the mines, it's implied that on certain occasions Grumbles will leave their nest to venture into the rest of the mines. As stated, Grumbles typically reside in their nest, and this is because their queen inhabits that location, and they serve to patrol and protect her. Grumbles will wander around their nest killing any intruders, including Screeches, as their infected young serve as a contagious threat to the entire species. This is why so many piles of mutilated Screeches can be found in the nest, as it is theorized that they were killed by their older relatives to prevent the spread of infection. Now, I did mention that there was a Queen Grumble, and this is true. The queen possesses a few notable differences from their normal counterparts, those being that she is not only stronger and faster, but she is also larger and more red in color. Additionally, the queen has a birthmark on her head, which is the most significant feature when determining whether or not you're dealing with a queen or not. Queen Grumbles, much like most queen animals, are implied to be responsible for keeping the species alive by producing offspring, making them a vital asset to all Grumbles and Giggles. Now, similar to how the uninfected Screech is a lost stage of life, every single previous stage of life of the Queen Grumble is also lost. We have no idea what younger variations of this entity look like. However, it can be assumed that they resemble the stages of growth of normal Giggles except with the characteristics of the Queen Grumble. For example, this is a concept of what a Queen Giggle would look like, sporting a more red color tone and of course the birthmark on the top of their head. I actually made a theory which explained why this stage of development was lost, so I'd recommend you watch that for a deeper understanding of its lore. So, to summarize, the life cycle of a Giggle starts at a Giggle. then they mature into an uninfected Screech, then they grow up into a Grumble. It's likely other stages of growth exist in between an uninfected Screech and a Grumble, as the age gap between the two is huge, but there currently doesn't exist one in the game. Additionally, Queen Grumbles share a similar life cycle as their normal counterparts, only each stage will be larger, more red in color, and sport a birthmark on their head to signify that they are a queen. Anyways, that was the entire video. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and with all of that being said, thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.